What's good? My friend told me about a theory that completely changed the way I live my life. It's called the inevitable theory. But before I dive into it, I want to let you know that at the end of this video, there's 8 books that I believe every artist should read. So if you're a striving artist and you want to improve, you want to get better, you don't want to miss out on these books. There's some very, very valuable books that have completely changed the way you see your art, produce your art, and it'll enhance your skill set. So, you want to stay tuned for that. But the theory that my friend told me about is called the inevitable theory. And for me, it's helped me remove self doubt because I don't think about what might happen. I think about when it will happen. In the past, I've been in positions where, specifically in university, where I was playing university basketball, and I wasn't playing at the time, and my mindset was negative, completely negative, and my work ethic followed my mindset. I wasn't putting in the work that I needed to continuously improve. I was in my own head and I wasn't thinking correctly. My mindset was centered around, what if, what if, what if? What if I never play? What if the coach never sees my value? What if I waste all 4 years sitting on the bench? You know, and that happened. At the time I wasn't able to find the right perspective to look at my problems through so that I could solve them. So the inevitable theory for me now where I am has completely changed my mindset. I don't think about what if. I think when, because I know that if I put in the work in all avenues, not just becoming a better artist or increasing my skill level, but becoming a better marketer, you know, going to places where I connect with like-minded people, like-minded artists, finding people who look for art, the type of art that I try to create, and see where they hang out instead of trying to be the nectar that attracts the bees to me. I know that both strategies are both ways of living are important. Yeah, I have to isolate myself at times to create my work, but I also have to be in environments where people buy the art. As an artist, especially if you're doing this as a career, it's important to get out of your head and attack problems from both situations. So the inevitable theory is just basically based on putting in the work, you know, becoming a better drawer, a better sketcher, having better ideas, and constantly sharing those so that you can improve and refine and get feedback. And just having the mindset that as long as I keep working, as long as I keep sharing my work, as long as I keep refining my work and getting better, as long as I keep meeting more people, as long as I keep producing more YouTube videos or genuinely connecting with people, it's only a matter of time before my value is undeniable. It's inevitable that I reach the heights that I want to reach because I'm putting in the work. I'm going to the right places. I'm communicating properly. I know how to share my ideas. I know that people don't buy art, they buy the artist. So if I've been able to tell a story that draws them in and captures and isolates a problem that they see but can't quite express, I know that my work is inevitable. It's inevitable. I know this theory is something that my friend told me about, and it makes a lot of sense. What if the what if mentality can completely destroy, or what if only if I lived in this city, or only if I was in this environment, only if it like destroys you. It's not positive. And one of my favorite musicians say, if it ain't beneficial, it's artificial. And as we know, artificial ingredients are destroying the body. So artificial thoughts like what if are destroying the mind, and that is completely destroying your work. So if you've had this mindset, or if you've been in a position where you wondering what if, or had self-doubt and you didn't believe in yourself and you didn't believe that you would get better, then let me know in the comments how you overcame them, you know. And I like to think that there's three ways that somebody becomes wise or get better. The first one is you watch what others do and how they became successful, and you mirror it, you copy it. That's one form of wisdom. Another form is to read somebody's work and see what they did and see what they didn't do and copy that. The third is to go through the painful experience yourself. Now, a lot of people will argue that this is the most valuable because there's no motivator better than pain, but this is the worst way to improve, if you ask me. So because I think reading is important, I've cultivated a list of 8 books that I am thumbing through right now that I think that you should read as an artist, and that I think will put you in a position to think from the correct perspective that you need to think of to remove yourself from self-doubt. There's some books about the artist. There's some books about improving your ability to draw. There's some books about getting ideas. And there's just some books about the right mentality and mindset that you need to be, an artist, an aggressive artist in this days and age. Because to be honest, the artist is undervalued and unappreciated, I believe, because without the artist mindset, innovation and creation wouldn't never exist. We would just strictly be refining things that are already made. So we would never have new inventions like the webcam or YouTube or your favorite application, your favorite drawing utensil or anything like that. So these books are extremely valuable, and I hope you find something that you haven't read and actually read it, So let's get into this list. These are 8 books that I believe every artist should read, starting with the first one. The first one is Art Power by Boris Graves. This book will help you understand the role of the artist beyond making art. Oh, look at that typo, art. Let's correct it, art. It explores how art interacts and influences culture, institutions, and society. The book will challenge your assumptions about what gives art meaning and value. And as an artist, yes, it's your job to make the art, but if you understand how it influences culture, institutions, and society, you'll be in a better position to negotiate your value or to give your value, your true value to what your art means to people on a greater scale. The second book is Still Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. This book will help you if you're struggling with originality or creative confidence. It shows how every artist builds on the work of others while developing their own unique voice. The lessons are simple, practical, and immediately actionable. And when you're looking for books or selecting a book, the most important thing is the takeaways. Is this book actionable? Is the knowledge in it beneficial? Will it benefit me in my life? And this book, I've actually read this book prior, and it just builds on the idea. I don't know if you know who Stephen King is, but there's a book that he wrote called On Writing, and it talks about the accumulation or the merging of 2 different ideas from different spaces and making it your own. And this is what helps make original work. So this book is a great book. The next one is more about practice and becoming a better seer. And that is The Dynamic Bible by Peter Hahn. This book will help you think in 3 dimensions instead of copying what you see, which is valuable if you want to start to draw your own creations. It teaches you how to understand form, structure, and movement from first principles. So the concepts will improve every area of your drawing regardless of subject matter. I'm going through this book right now. It has exercises you can do and just helps you understand the theory from first principles, like it says, so that you're able to become a better artist. And if you don't know first principles, it's basically when something's broken down to the basic structure, right? So it's simplified. This book is very powerful. I'm enjoying drawing from it so far. The next book helps you draw from imagination after you understand things from first principles from the last book. So this is Figure Drawing by Michael Hampton. This book will help you draw people from imagination instead of relying on references. It combines gesture, construction, and anatomy into a unified system. A unified system is just one system. Many professional artists consider it one of the best figure drawing books ever made. So to be honest, so far I've only scanned through these books. There's a lot of books on this list, but just looking at the photos and reading some of the copy inside the book, I know that this is going to elevate me as an artist. The next book is Artist Master Series Perspective and Depth. This book will help you create drawings and paintings that feel more immersive and believable. It teaches how professional artists create convincing space and atmosphere. The variety of instructors give you multiple approaches to solving visual problems. Because this book has different instructors, I'm sure that you'll find an instructor that resonates with the way you communicate and the way you see, and it'll help you accelerate your growth as an artist faster. I've read the first couple of pages of this book, and it's been great. So this is a book that I would recommend. Now the next book is a classic. A lot of artists know about this book. It's called Color and Light by James Gurney. This book will help you understand why great paintings look alive. It breaks down the science and psychology behind color, lighting, and visual perception. The lessons apply equally well to traditional and digital artists. A lot of us don't really understand the depth that color brings. There are certain feelings, that emotions that certain colors bring out. And this book highlights the psychology behind that and lighting and how we visually perceive, work. The next book is for people who kind of want to get away from the technical aspects of anatomy. And this book is called Anatomy for Artists, Drawing, Form, and Pose. It simplifies the human body into forms that are easier to understand and draw. The focus on movement and structure makes it especially useful for illustrators. And this has been a great book. I've been doing some practice work out of this book, and I enjoy the journey so far. And I think I like to say here that the most important part of reading a book is doing the practice, but also just taking the time. It's not meant to be inhaled. Some books are meant to be skimmed through. Some books are meant to be inhaled, and some books are meant to be digested. And I would say that every book out of these 8 books should be digested, because if you can commit these books to memory, not necessarily what they're saying, but just the forms and the structures and the perspectives and the opinions of these authors into memory, it'll help you make your own unique voice, your own unique blend, which will lead to your own unique art, which is important in today's time. The next book is a great book. It's from Kim's Anatomy Drawing Class, right? It's Human by Kim Rocky. This book is extremely, extremely practical, very demonstrative, and it breaks down things from it's just amazing. I'm at a loss for words trying to explain it. I've had the time to skim through it, and I know when I get to this level, this book is gonna take me over the top. This book is great for visual learners who benefit from clear demonstrations and breakdowns. It presents anatomy and figure drawing in a highly practical, artist-friendly way. The book helps bridge the gaps between studying anatomy and actually drawing people well. And I'm looking forward to getting deeper inside this book. And these are the 8 books, but there is a bonus book, and that is about mindset and being an artist in today's time. And it's called The Aggressive Artist. And it's basically about defying the social contracts, I would say, of today that puts a negative connotation, a negative perspective on artists and the way we present ourselves, or the way we disagree with structures that are classified, are taken as being true, as being facts, when in reality it's just like 1,000 people believe it, so it must be true, which isn't the case. So it's about having an aggressive mindset to share your opinions and do your work and do your art. And that book is called The Aggressive Artist, and it's a book that I wrote. It's a philosophical and cultural exploration of what it means to remain creative, alive in a world that often rewards conformity over perception. It is written for anyone who feels the pressure to quiet their ideas, soften their instincts, or postpone what they already know they want to make. And it basically just combines some of the knowledge that I learned from some of the books that I've read and combined it into one from my unique perspective, because I believe that artists are undervalued, like I mentioned earlier in this video, and I believe that it's our responsibility to continue to be artists, to continue to create. One of my favorite quotes from George Bernard Shaw is that and of course I'm gonna butcher this, is that the reasonable man adapts to the world, but the unreasonable man persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. So as an artist, we are unreasonable. It is our job to create things that don't exist, which don't necessarily make sense to somebody who's not a creator, not an artist. And there's a certain mindset and a certain perspective that you have to have in order to do that. So this book goes into depth about how I feel about that, and just makes you. All these books are extremely valuable because self-doubt can leak in if you aren't perfecting and mastering your craft. It can leak in if you don't believe that your practice is needed or your work is needed, or that if you follow these steps, then it's inevitable that you'll become successful in your own way, whatever success means to you. So I wanted to share these books that kind of like the philosophy and the mind behind becoming, successful, in my opinion. And because I know that if I continue to work on my craft and to share my stuff and to network, not necessarily network, I don't like that term because it to me it has a negative connotation, but continuing to meet and make genuine friendships with people, then it's inevitable that I'll get to the rooms or attract the people that value me. So I want to share this video. I want to thank you for taking your time. Don't forget to subscribe and like and to, let me know what you think if you read these books and share your own unique values. Until next time.